All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our council meeting for the 23rd of February. I'll call the meeting to order, and of course, we need to adopt the agenda. The recommendation that we have is that the agenda for the February 23rd, 2026 regular meeting of council be accepted and passed. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Rankin and Councillor Hearn, thank you. All those in favor? That's carried, thank you. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest on anything on tonight's agenda? Councillor McCabe?
I have none.
I have none to declare. Councillor Hearn?
No.
Councillor Rankin?
I have none.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move into a closed session. We have a recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North go into a meeting at 6:01 p.m. that is closed to the public under subsection 239, number 2 of the Municipal Act 2001, specifically to deal with item C, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, and item F, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. Could I get a mover and a seconder? Councillor McCabe and Councillor Rankin, thank you. All those in favor? That's carried. We are in closed.
So we have a little bit of a problem because Peter's not here yet. And if I lock the meeting, he can't get in. So I just sent him an email.
Sit tight for a minute.
Okay.
Are you still recording? We have a recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North rise from a closed meeting at 6:55 p.m. Moved by Councillor Hearn, seconded by Councillor Rankin. Thank you. All those in favor? It's carried. And then we have a recommendation coming out of closed that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North received the verbal report from Peter Hertz, solicitor, regarding zoning, and the council approved the confidential direction to staff. I'm going to mover Councillor McCabe, seconder Councillor Rankin. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And we have a recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive report CAO 2026-002 land acquisition, and the council approve the confidential direction to staff. Moved by Councillor Rankin, seconded by Councillor Hearn. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And finally, we have a recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North approve the closed meeting minutes of the February 9th, 2026 council meeting. Moved by Councillor McCabe, seconded by Councillor Hearn. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And we'll recess for 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
There, I'll make that we're recessed.
Sorry, Lisa.
Just joining us, welcome. And we'll get started again with O Canada. So if you could rise if you're able for O Canada, please. Always great to hear the national anthem, and I'm sure we all would have loved to have heard it an extra time yesterday, but I think we should all be very proud of our athletes that represented us in Italy. So, have you heard back from Councillor O'Neill? Okay, so in our regular scheduled agenda, we had a county council update from Councillor O'Neill, and I know he's held up at the moment, so we'll just move on from that. And if he's able to join us later, we'll come back to that. Otherwise, before we adjourn, we'll have to maybe defer this till the next meeting. So we'll move on to adoption of the minutes of council and public meeting. And we have a recommendation that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on February 9th, 2026 be adopted as circulated. Moved by Councillor McCabe, seconded by Councillor Rankin. Any questions or comments on those? All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Don't think we have any deputations, so we're on to identification of items requiring separate discussion. And items that have been identified for separate discussion include item 15A1, 15A2, 15C1, and 15D1. So in order to dispense with all the others, we have a recommendation that all items listed under items for consideration on the February 23rd, 2026 council agenda, with the exception of those items identified for separate discussion, be approved and the recommendations therein be adopted. Moved by Councillor Hearn, seconded by Councillor Rankin. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. So we'll move on to 15A1. This is the Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee minutes. And the recommendation is that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive the minutes of the Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting held on December 3rd, 2025. Moved by Councillor McCabe, seconded by Councillor Rankin. Questions or comments? Councillor Rankin?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Lennox. I just had one question. I was just wondering what Wellington North is planning on using the 10,000 grant for.
Through you, Mayor Lennox. So the minutes from last year's accessibility committee were referring to the $10,000 grant. Last year, we did get approval to use that grant for some accessible doors at the Mount Forest Arena.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Move on to 15A2. This is the Maitland Valley Conservation Authority minutes. A recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive the minutes of the Maitland Valley Conservation Authority membership meeting 11-2025 held December 17th, 2025. Moved by Councillor McCabe, seconded by Councillor Hearn. Questions? Councillor McCabe?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor Lennox. They were going to have, Maitland Valley Conservation Authority was going to have their meeting last week, their AGM, and we were all invited. And I was going to go to it last week, but it was canceled due to the freezing rain and the winter weather. So it is on for this Wednesday at 2 p.m. in Blythe, and I will be in attendance there.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments on that? All those in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Move on to 15C1. This is in regard to the Aqua contract. So I have a recommendation here that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive report Finance 2026-001 regarding the agreement with the Ontario Clean Water Agency, or Aqua, for the operation of the township's wastewater treatment plants from 2026 to 2030, and the council waive the requirement for a competitive process as detailed within the township's purchasing procurement policy. And further, the council authorized the mayor and clerk to sign the bylaw to enter into the agreement with Aqua for the operation of the township's wastewater treatment plants from 2026 to 2030. Could I get a mover and a seconder for that? Councillor McCabe and Councillor Hearn, thank you. Questions, comments? Councillor McCabe?
Right, Penny, do you? Nope, okay. Through you, Mayor Lennox. Just with regards to the additional halftime full-time employee. Is this an Aqua employee or will this be a township employee? And I have a quick follow-up for that one.
Okay, Jerry? You're muted, Jerry.
Can't hear you, Jerry.
You're still muted, Jerry.
Sorry about that. Through Mayor Lennox. The employee in question would be from directly employed by Aqua, supporting the township.
Okay. So then that would be their employee and they'll pay for that. Okay.
Any other questions?
Yep.
Go ahead.
If you don't mind, I have two more. So who is, I guess it doesn't really matter that much now that the township's not really paying for that half-time full employee. But who's doing the work for all the increased operating and compliance and regulatory demands right now?
So right now, Aqua is in charge of all the things you've listed, regulatory compliance and managing our aging infrastructure, if you want to call it that. What we've experienced and confirmed over the last few years is that the number of work orders are higher. So this employee will be assisting the staff and currently in place in meeting those regulatory compliance work and getting through the work orders that come through for our plants. The employee will be shared between our municipality and a different municipality. That's why it's 0.5. The costs of them employees, while it's being paid for by Alcor, it's also kind of covered out of our annual payments to Alcor in that sense.
Okay. Thank you, Jerry.
Another one, Councilor McKay?
Yeah, and the last one, and this might be a little, I don't know. I've always keep an eye or kind of wonder about this, but would there ever be a day where we bring all of Aqua in-house?
The management of the
Brooke.
plants.
Sorry, yeah, the management of the plant.
Yeah, Brookwood. Yeah.
Brooke?
Through you, Mayor Lennox. So this contract is for 5 years. We are not at this time looking at bringing those operations in-house. However, we are looking at building our team, and we actually have a pilot position in place right now that's focused more on wastewater treatment operations, just getting a better sense of what's happening at the plant, some of our planning. We have a lot of related projects underway. So we are looking at developing some capacity in terms of in-house expertise, but in terms of the operation of the plants themselves, it's been working well with Aqua, and this contract looks to extend that relationship for another 5 years.
All right. Thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments in regard to this? Okay, all those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. We'll move on to 15D1, the CAO report year in review. We have the recommendation that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North receive report CAO 2026-001, the 2025 year in review for information. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Rankin and Councillor Hearn. Thank you. Questions, comments? Councillor Rankin?
Thank you. I have one question and one comment. The question I had is on page 13 of the report. They have a box culvert going in on Wells Street, and I'm used to seeing round culverts. So I'm just wondering, is there a difference in the capacity for working that a box culvert has over a round culvert?
Demi, can you help us with that one?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Lennox, to Councillor Rankin. So culverts and bridges have many factors that play into the detailed design, such as the depth of the stream, the depth of the road base, and the cover from the top of the structure to the top of the road. The engineers also complete a hydraulic design of the upstream flows to ensure that the culvert or the bridges is designed and sized properly. There's lots of shapes of different culverts around, such as round or elliptical, arced, or box culverts. And then each shape has limitations to the maximum sizing. So selection of the shape and the size of the culvert depends on the existing environmental conditions and design factors. The box culvert on Wells Street was engineered to be 2.5 meters wide by 1.8 meters tall. And as you can see from the picture, how big the box culvert is compared to the construction workers standing beside it, it is quite large. So in this instance, a round culvert wouldn't, it wouldn't handle all the upstream flow that's coming through the stream.
Thank you very much. That's very interesting. I had no idea all the different shapes culverts came in, but thank you very much. And the only comment I have on the year in review is it is laid out in such a way, it's very interesting to read and it's short points, so you can stop at one point and pick it up again. It's really well done. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments at this point? Councillor McCabe?
No, thank you. And through you, Mayor Lennox, with the year in review, yeah, it's nice to see where we were and how far we've gone. I'd say in the last, 3 terms that I've been here, and the work that's been done just this year alone has been pretty fantastic. So I want to thank staff and the general operations of the whole township that gets all of this work done. So thank you. I just want a question of where and what do we need to do and work on in 2026? The work never ends, I know, so.
Through you. Thank you, Councillor McCabe, through you, Mayor Lennox. So first off, I would agree. I think this is a great summary of the work that's been done in 2025, and it's always a fun job. And I would like to thank specifically Mike Wilson, who's here, who pulled together all this information and worked on the design of the document. We work with all the staff across the organization to pull this together, and it's always quite amazing to see what gets accomplished in a year. We often forget because we move on so quickly, but we're continuing to develop the work plan for 2026. There's a lot of projects that are multi-year projects, so I think the main priority for this year is really wrapping up some of the priorities that council set during our strategic plan. So we continue to work on some of the big infrastructure projects that we've identified through our growth management action plan. We continue to develop ways to communicate with the public and really improve our services. So those are our 3 main strategic priorities. And I would say that as we look towards the end of this council term, that we really want to make sure we're checking all the boxes in terms of the things that we set out to do initially, while continuing to work on delivering the core services that the township does. So that's what I would say our main priorities are, but there's always interesting things that pop up through the year as well. So we like to keep some space for that too.
Great. Thank you very much.
Including managing snow.
And thank you too, Mike.
Any other questions or comments? Yeah, I would just say it's time goes by, and it's good to look back and remind ourselves of where we've come from and where we're going. So thanks to all the effort that's gone into this. I think this is a very useful tool for residents to understand what we're doing on behalf of them on an annual basis. So great idea, and I hope we continue it for many years to come. And with that, I'll call the motion. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And I think that brings us to notice of motion. Any notice of motion this evening? Okay. Anything on community group meeting program report anybody'd like to report on? The doldrums of February. Seeing none, we'll move on to bylaws. We have, what do we got? 2 bylaws to deal with tonight. And the recommendation is that bylaw number 12-2026 and 13-2026 be read and passed. Moved by Councillor McCabe, seconded by Councillor Rankin. Any questions or comments on those? All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. We're on to cultural moment. Well, by Police Services Board last week, I had 13 minutes.
Longer to get there than the meeting, huh?
By a long shot. And Councillor O'Neill, is he?
I told him, like, don't rush, we're gonna be done, so.
Okay.
Yeah, this might be the record now,
Hmm.
if we can get through it. Is Mike
The
gonna do
Wellington North Cultural Roundtable presents A Cultural Moment, Annie Mae Jackson. Annie Mae Jackson was born on September 10, 1878 in Luther Township to Jonathan Jackson and Letitia Church. She was the third of 10 children in a large farming family. In 1909, Jackson traveled west to visit one of her sisters, and in 1910 she settled in Edmonton, Alberta. There she began working for the Children's Aid Society, gaining experience in social welfare and child protection. On October 1, 1912, at the age of 33, Annie Mae Jackson was appointed the first female constable of the Edmonton City Police Department, becoming the first woman in Canada sworn into a police force with full constabulary powers. Her appointment followed a competitive selection process in which she ranked first among 47 applicants. City officials deliberately sought a woman for the role to address social and moral concerns involving women and children, areas that male officers were considered ill-equipped to handle, particularly as Edmonton experienced rapid population growth driven by immigration and economic expansion. Jackson's responsibilities focused on the protection and guidance of girls and young women. She worked to uphold moral standards, prevent exploitation, and assist vulnerable female immigrants who faced risks such as trafficking or abuse. Rather than traditional patrol work, her role emphasized prevention, supervision, and rehabilitation, often described as a mothering approach to policing. Reflecting the specialized and gendered nature of her position, Jackson was not issued a full uniform and wore only a silver police badge. Although few individual cases from her service are well documented, Jackson's work helped establish early protocols for female involvement in policing, particularly in matters related to juveniles and social welfare. Her service contributed to the gradual integration of women into Canadian law enforcement. In 1918, Jackson resigned from the police force after marrying William Kelker, as married women were generally barred from police service at the time. The couple had one son, Henry, born in 1919. Kelker died in 1949. Jackson died on October 30th, 1959 in Edmonton at the age of 81 after being struck by a vehicle near her home while out for a walk. She is remembered as a pioneer whose service helped open the door for women in policing. Her legacy is commemorated through several honors, including Jackson Heights School and Annie Mae Jackson Park in Edmonton.
Okay, that's an interesting story of someone I was not heard of before, so. Okay, before we move, but we probably should officially defer the county
Yes.
council update. So let's go back and deal with that. We were going to receive the county council update from Councillor O'Neill, and he's been detained, so I'd like to have a motion to defer that until our next meeting. Councillor McCabe, seconded by Councillor Hearn. Any discussion? All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And that brings us to meetings notices, and I don't have the list in front of me.
It's included in the agenda
Yeah,
package.
I'll refer to your agenda package. And so that brings us to our confirming bylaw with the recommendation as follows: that bylaw number 14-2026 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Wellington North at its regular council meeting held on February 23rd, 2026, be read and passed. Moved by Councillor Rankin, seconded by Councillor Hearn. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. That gets us to adjournment. We have a recommendation that the regular council meeting of February 23rd, 2026 be adjourned at 7:20 p.m. Moved by Councillor McCabe, seconded by Councillor Rankin. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you, everyone. We're adjourned. It was a pretty brief meeting. Thanks.